Well, we get started tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to it. You know, I really thought we had a good off season. What the off season about is what we call preparation. So what our players are working on is getting their body ready. So what they do in the weight room, what they do in speed school, what they do in conditioning is part of it. And then the other part of it is the mental preparation and studying the game of football, studying their position, watching the best players that play the game at their position, understanding the playbook. So it's all about, you know, how we prepare and how we get ready to go. I thought we did a really good job in the off season. You know, I was impressed with what we did in the weight room. Offensive line wise, K.S. McNeil had a great testing day, or great testing week, I guess it was. You know, a guy that squatted 600 pounds and benched 405. You know, he just did a great job, and he seems a lot different now that this is his final year going in, and he's really taken over the leadership of the group and is very focused and very dedicated and getting ready to go. So I'm excited for him. Kai Becton, you know, had our biggest bench there at 415. He just keeps getting better. He's a guy that, you know, would have played every snap last year. He missed a couple games because of injury. But he's, you know, going to be a great player, and I'm excited to see those two guys back again playing right next to each other. Running back wise, I thought Tobias Little was a real good surprise for us in the off season. You know, he had a 35.5-inch vertical, he benched 415, squatted 560, and he ran a 4.540. So those are very good numbers. You know, he's going to play running back and some fullback, but we are going to give him the ball, and he's a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, and you know, those are things that we're looking forward to seeing him do. Trey Smith also did a good job in the off season, and you know, I think he'll get in there and get some real good carries and see where he's at. Wide receivers, you know, the thing that stood out the most to me was Tudu Atwell's speed, you know, and how we're going to use him, get him the football. A guy that played quarterback in high school and, you know, had the ball in his hands on every play, and now how we're going to be able to get him the football as a wide receiver and utilize that type of speed and game-breaking ability. I was also very pleased with Keon Wakefield, you know, a guy that unfortunately broke his leg last year, I think the second practice of the fall. A really weird accident. He was just going through punt block drill and landed on it wrong. But for him to come back and run as well as he did, he ran a 4.440 and test as well as he did, I'm excited to see what he'll add, you know, to that group. Obviously, Juwan Pass did a great job in testing, a 35-inch vertical and clean 305 pounds and ran under 4.6. So I thought he did a really nice job in the off season. Malik Cunningham also did a good job. You know, he ran fast and had a really good vertical. I think the biggest thing that we've got to find out with Malik is how consistent he can be throwing the football. You know, how he can deliver the ball on time and his accuracy. He'll obviously get a bunch of reps. On the defensive line, I thought Mike Boykin really stood out. You know, when you looked at his numbers and the bench and the vertical and, you know, everything that he did, he's a big, physical, strong guy that I'm looking forward to watching practice. Tabarius Peterson was a guy that had a great week in the weight room. You know, his speed and strength combination, I think, gives us another edge rusher that we're looking for. So with him and Jonathan Bernard, I think it'll really help us on the edge. Jonathan had a really good week of testing also. The linebacker spot, you know, Dorian Etheridge played every snap for us last year as a true freshman. I thought really grew and got stronger and quicker, and that'll help him be a much better player again next year. And then C.J. Avery, who's playing the will linebacker spot, had a great week. And also P.J. Blue. You know, P.J. Blue, we've had at safety. When we recruited him, we thought he would grow into a will linebacker, and you know, about 2 or 3 weeks before testing got over with, he came in and asked if he could move to linebacker. Thought he would be a difference at linebacker, be a fast linebacker, and so it'll be fun to see how he does out there in spring at that spot. But he tested really well too. He had a You know, 10 foot 11 inch broad jump, 320 bench, 4.59. Which now as a linebacker, that's really good speed and really fast speed. And then in the secondary, the guy that had the best week in testing was P.J. McManusor. You know, just a combination of strength and speed and explosiveness really stood out. I mean, I'm anxious to see Cornelius Sturgill come out this spring and see how he plays. He's still one of the fastest guys. He didn't have the best 40, but he did have the all-time best 10 that we've ever had. And you know, he's a guy that a year ago, coming off that injury where they rebuilt his foot basically, he ended up having other nagging injuries caused by making up for that. So I think now he feels healthy, better than he has in 2 or 3 years. I think it'll be good to see how he plays there. So I'm really looking forward to that. Getting the 8 new guys going. You know, I think that they've come in and shown that they're physically ready to play. So now we get to go out on the practice field and see how they do out there. But you know, as far as spring ball goes, I always enjoy spring ball. I think you see a lot of teaching going on. So one of the biggest parts of it is to teach the offense, teach the techniques, teach the defense, teach the techniques, and then see how they take them over from like an individual drill to a group drill to a team drill, and be able to utilize those techniques as you move into faster and more competition. So part of practice will be teaching, and then part of it will be testing and see how they do, whether they pass the tests and can still utilize their technique when it's a physical part of practice. And then also the best part, I think, is competition. Something I thoroughly enjoy in spring ball is watching the competition for the depth chart. You know, who wants to be the starting, wide receiver, D lineman, who's going to move up, who's going to move down, and how they go about competing for that. It's something that's always enjoyable, and I think it's one of the fun things about spring ball. As far as our team objectives goes, number one thing we think we need to do here is player development. See how we can develop guys, get them better, understand the game better, and then utilize what they do well and try to hide what they don't do well. That's a big part of it. And then one thing that we'll spend a lot of time on is having a championship attitude on how we go about our business in the meeting rooms, how we go about our business on the practice field, how we go about our business in everything that we do. We need to do it like a champion. I think our players have done a good job of that up to this point. The way they worked in the weight room, what we've been doing in the classroom. We're doing a really nice job in the classroom, and what our players have done, with community service. I think it's certainly been the type of championship attitude that we're looking for. I like the team. I think we have good leadership from within. I think they have a lot of pride in each other. I think they're hungry to get out on the practice field. So it should be a fun day tomorrow and a fun couple weeks coming up for the spring game. With that, I'll just open up for questions.
Bobby, how much is leadership when you lose guys like you did last year? How much is that leadership important to foster even maybe more of it here in spring?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to have a special team. You have to have leadership from within the team. It's really important that they're able to lead each other, correct each other, and go in the right direction. Offensively, I feel really good about our offensive line and what we've got there. The receiving group has really good leadership. I like our running backs. I think Jawan's done a really nice job. On defense, Jonathan Bernard, Henry Famaru have done a nice job with the defensive line. It's always good to see guys that know it's going to be competitive and be tough, but they're willing to help the guy that's new and behind them a little bit. Dorian Etheridge obviously has got to do a good job with the linebacking crew. Really in the secondary, it's feels like P.J. McManusor and Rajay Burns have kind of taken over that group, and most of it through their work ethic. But P.J.'s a real vocal guy, and he's an energetic guy, so he brings energy to the table every day, and that helps us a lot.
It seems like last year, this time, the offensive line was maybe a question mark as far as on the offense. This year, it looks like it's probably the strength, maybe.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that's most important for us is to find out who the best 5 are, and then make sure we get them in the right positions So we will move them around and let them experience some different positions, and then develop depth behind that. So, you know, I'm excited about Linwood Foy, you know, a guy that every time he got in the game last year, he played really well, played fast, played with good technique. I'm excited to see how he does and what he brings to the table. Cole Bentley can play both guard and center, so we are going to give him some reps in at center. Something that he's excited about and wants to you know, show that he can play in there. I think that, you know, he's a big physical guy that can really help us whether he's at guard or center. You know, so Caleb Chandler is another guy that we ended up redshirting last year. You know, but we traveled him and we got him ready to play most games as a backup, and then we were just fortunate that we were able to redshirt him, much like we did with Eric Wood when Eric was a true freshman. You know, he was the backup guard, and we'd always tell him, hey, we're not putting you in right now because we want to hold on to that red shirt when you get ahead in the game. So it's good to be able to go through that process and still have that year of eligibility left. I think it really helps you.
Are there guys for whom you would say this is, you mentioned the guys that you thought performed really well, are there guys that, for whom you want to, specific guys that you want to see something from in the spring, you want to see them take a step?
Yeah, all of them. You know, yeah, all of them. I mean, they all need to get better and work at it. And certainly, you know, the depth chart's open. That's what spring ball is all about. You know, I've never felt that the coaching staff sets the depth chart. I've always felt that, you know, it's up to the player to go prove to his peers, prove to the other guy on the team that he's the starter and that he deserves those reps. Because most of the time the players on the team understand and know it.
You've had a long time to work with Juwan and stuff, but now that he's that #1 guy, what do you want to see from him this spring?
Yeah, you know, I want to see him be a little more urgent, because Juwan's a pretty laid-back guy, and you know, he needs to walk a little faster, needs to get out of the huddle to the line of scrimmage a little quicker, and you know, but he has tremendous respect from his teammates. They've all seen what he can do the last couple of years. He's very intelligent. He really knows the game. So I want to see him take charge out on the field and take what we asked him to do in the meeting room to the field and execute it. And then just relax and play. You know, the one thing I think that Juwan has enough self-confidence and belief in himself that he'll just go out there and be himself and play his game, and then we'll mold the offense around him.
How has he earned his teammates' trust, their confidence?
Yeah, just like everybody else does, by how you work, how you prepare, what you show when you get the opportunities, you know, how much you care about your teammates. You know, one thing about caring about your teammates, it's all about action. Anyone can talk it, but when you show how much you care about your teammates and what, you know, they mean to you, and that's a big thing for quarterbacks. Quarterbacks have to, you know, care about their teammates on and off the field, wherever they're at. Juwan's a great teammate. You know, he showed tremendous support for Lamar in there, and always, you know, did a great job of listening and understanding and being prepared each game to go in and play. So I know he has the respect of everybody.
You mentioned Lucas McNeil's extra motivation, maybe that it's in near the end of his career. Have you seen that in terms of his numbers, in terms of maybe his weight, his fitness level? Yeah,
really his focus, you know, and you know how he comes about his work every day, whether it's in the weight room, in the meeting room, you know, how he interacts around his teammates. He's just seemed very, very focused, very dialed in to coming out and having a great year. You know, he's always been a really good worker anyway, but his focus just seems different.
Where are you health-wise going?
Pretty good. You know, I think most guys will be out there. Some guys will be limited, but we should have most everybody out there.
Colin Wilson, where's
he'll be out there doing some things. Yeah, you know, he won't be a full contact guy, but he'll be out there on the field and getting some, you know, handoffs and some work.
Is anybody totally out?
No, not really.
Coach, when you talk about PJ and Rajay, how important was for those guys to have that year? I mean, they've played college football at a high level, and then now they have that year. How have you seen them anxious, and how big was that year to have for those guys?
Yeah, you know, first I think it's hard on them. You know, I think it's the first time since they were both 6 years old that they didn't play in a game. You know, they just went out and practiced every day. And I think that is hard on, you know, even freshmen that come in redshirt. It's hard because all of a sudden, what do you mean I'm not playing? You know, it's just a different mindset to them, and it's difficult. But you either have a good redshirt year or a bad redshirt year. And they had a good redshirt year because they learned. They worked hard on giving us the looks that we wanted to see from the other team. They worked hard in individual drills, and they both improved in the weight room. And that's a big part of the redshirt is that, you know, you lift more than the guys that play in the games, and you get to work on building strength, not just maintaining it during the season. And so I thought they did a great job with it. They don't seem like newcomers to me. They seem like vets to me because they've been around and been out on the practice field and competed. You know, and I think their learning curve is quicker because they've been through it before. You know, at the other schools they were at, they've been through the installations, they've been through getting ready for games, so they'll be able to pick things up and move quicker than, say, a true freshman like Chandler Jones, who's very, very talented, and I think he's going to be a really good player here. But it's going to take him a little bit longer to learn than it will PJ and Rajay.
Mike Boykin's a guy that I think we've been following for like 3 years or so. How anxious are you?
Seems like forever, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
How anxious are you to get him actually out there and figure out where he fits in the defense?
Yeah, the greatest thing about Mike is, you know, he's up here every day. He comes up into the offices, says hello to everybody, has a huge personality, then goes in and works hard, gets there early, stays and works extra, loves it, loves being in the weight room, loves working hard. So I can't wait to watch him practice and see how we utilize what he does best, you know, on the practice field. Played both defensive end and defensive tackle, so I think there's some position flexibility there. So I think we have a lot to learn here in the next, you know, 14 practices, and see how he does and how we can best utilize his abilities.
Are there any other guys who changed positions that DJ would like to mention at the league stages?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Oh, and Trayshawn Smith, is he going to practice at all?
No, Trayshawn will be the one guy really that's not, yeah. Forgot about Trayshawn.
Have you tinkered with how you spring? Is it kind of same setup as the last couple of years that you had? I mean, were you also scrimmaging Saturdays, I guess, or you kind of found your rhythm on how you like to do spring ball?
Yeah, you know what you do this first week is there's a lot of installation and a lot of teaching. The first 2 days are helmets only, so that changes things a little bit. And the third day we get to do some contact and some tackling. And then the fourth day is not really a scrimmage. There will be some scrimmage work, but it's, you know, by rule it's a half practice, half scrimmage. So basically you get 3 scrimmages, one of them being the spring game, so then we'll have 2 other scrimmages. But it's, you know, it's a lot of teaching and a lot of working, and, you know, we help each other out. We'll be a little bit different this year than in the past because we do play Georgia Tech this year, so we will spend some time working on their option game and what they do here and then in camp, so that you get kids ready for it, and, you know, scout team ready to do it. And there's a lot of work that goes into stopping that offense, and you can't do it. And I think we play them on a Friday night even, so it's a short week, and you know, so you just got to do some stuff now to get ready for it. And while the defense is working on that, the offense will be either working on, you know, play action pass or screens or our other phases of the game.
Guys with shorter arms are typically the guys with the higher bench press numbers. What does it tell you about Makai Becton as that kind of length and can put up that kind of number?
Shorter arms, huh?
They don't have to lift it that fucking much.
Oh, I remember kids saying that
Yeah,
too. They were always the tall, skinny kids that couldn't bench.
That's
Yeah, my arms are too long. Well, Makai's not skinny. I think that's the big thing. Now, a bench is all about your chest. You know, to expand and come up and meet the bar and then finish it with your triceps. But, you know, Makai does a great job technically with it. He's good technique-wise, and obviously he's got great explosion. But he can come raise his chest and come meet the bar and then explode off his chest. He does a great job with it.
What's the target weight size for him?
Yeah, that's a great question because, you know, like I said, when he came in last year, I was really concerned about it. And then we put him in the bod pod, and I think at that time 25% body fat. Well, now he's down below that, but he has gained a couple pounds, so that's good weight, is what they say. So, I mean, he's going to be playing probably 355, 360, but in good condition and flexible. I think that's the thing that's so impressive with him, is how flexible he is, and that's what keeps him healthy. You know, flexibility allows you to get your body out of bad positions and allows you to stay healthy. So, you know, he's amazing how flexible he is at that big.
How's the transition been to the Brian Bangorder, and what do you expect from the defense this week?
That's been good. You know, Brian's a real teacher and really, you know, wants everything done detailed, and I think it's been good for our players. You know, I think we've done a good job in the meetings that we've been able to have with them on what the atmosphere is going to be in the meeting room and how we're going to pay attention, take notes properly, sit up, and then be able to, you know, carry it over to the next part. So I've been impressed with his meticulous to detail, and, you know, how the players have responded to him.
You spend so much time recruiting these freshmen. How eager are you to get some of these guys out on the practice field and see what they can actually do now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really eager about it. You know, I can't wait to get out there, especially, you know, when you look at a guy like Jared Jackson, who is a huge freshman that's very athletic and can really move around. You know, he's another guy you say, okay, what position is he going to be? Robert Hicks, who, you know, we had here in camp, and we saw him firsthand in camp and loved everything he can do. He can really run, he's fast, and he's physical, so it'll be fun to see him get out there. We already talked about Chandler Jones a little bit. Chandler's a really good player. Jatavius Harris is another guy that is a receiver that has great speed. Maybe not the 40 speed of Tutu, but I think if he went 60 yards, he would probably beat him, because he gets faster as he goes, kind of a strider, but very, very explosive. So I think to see how those two guys fit in and how they compete for playing time will be good for everybody.
What's Jared's current status with the program?
Yeah, you know, we're just going to evaluate where we're at with it, and obviously let it play itself out.
The national narrative is going to be life after Lamar. Is that fair? Is that a correct narrative? Is that something you bristle against? Any thoughts on everybody thinking, what are they going to do without Lamar?
I mean, it's true. He's gone.
Yeah.
We're at life after Lamar. That's good. We must be on the radio or something.
Yeah,
Well, last time we talked, you talked about liking your offices are here. How much will it change what you do spring ball without having the complex or the building? What will the details kind of be?
Yeah, I think it will probably end up starting a little bit later every day. You know, I think that's the thing that's different. It's until you miss it, until you're not there, you don't know how nice it is to be able to go right from the meeting room into the training room, get taped, and jump right out on the practice field. You know, we have some logistics that'll go on. So, you know, we'll have to have a taping room upstairs and also one over here in the locker room, and be able to, you know, go back and forth. Because what you have is you have some kids that don't get out of class till 2:15. They've got to go right